with that, I'm being drawn to say, and I was guided to this right before this reading actually, when people think of this Sun-Mercury conjunction, there's this idea of astrology where there's like Mercury combust, or planets combust around the sun. And what I'm getting right now, and what they're telling me again, is like that's a load of shit. They're like, why would you consider the sun any different than any other conjunction to any other planet? There's larger objects too as well. Like if you consider like Jupiter, you consider a planet conjunct Jupiter. Jupiter obviously expands what it touches, but Jupiter is also a large planet. Why would you consider and they're saying that the energy of Jupiter is that expansive energy, which is why they're saying, when a planet is conjunct to that, why it expands it. But in general, they're saying, okay, but Jupiter's still a large object, or take into account, let's say, Neptune or another planet or whatever. Why would it be like this idea of combust? And then they're bringing me back to the explanation of that would be, well, because the sun outshines like Mercury, because it's such a small planet, it's not seen. But they're saying it's not about the visuals that you see. It's about the energy that is represented by those cycles, or that is being reflected by those cycles, okay? The energy doesn't come from those cycles. Those cycles are actually representing an energy that is already pre-existing, that is a reflection of energetic cycles that exist further out within the universe as well, that affects our solar system, that's affected our galaxy, other galaxies, etc. Like this is a much more grander thing, but how it affects us on Earth is because we're at the vantage point of Earth, so these energetic cycles affect us in certain ways because we exist here in this moment. Okay, that is how that kind of boils down in that way. And they're saying, so it's not about the visual. The sun is bringing this illumination and this awareness, so it doesn't drown out Mercury. It actually almost in a way brightens it up, or brings it to the forefront of something. Just like how Jupiter expands something, or Neptune, or let's say Uranus would make things a bit more like maybe happening out of nowhere, an aspect of change or something like that, or crazy. The word I'm getting is like crazy. Okay, they're saying this idea of thinking that it drowns it out with light is looking for meaning. It's like somebody was looking for meaning for something in the completely wrong place, or in the wrong direction, and that's how this kind of came about. They're saying that we as humans sometimes have the tendency to look for meaning in something where there is none, and we need to what I'm getting now is bring it back to its most basic form. Even with astrology, bring it back to its basic foundational knowledge of what this means, and then kind of go from there. Don't start applying and making things up. What they're also saying is there are meanings and reasons to things within these energetic cycles, because they happen in a creative way, that are, yes, not in ways in which would go behind, let's say, a normal meaning, but you need to kind of be aware of how that is being used in that way, and but it's going to be inherently used in the way that the energies are still conducive to. So for example, the sun isn't going to drown something out, it's going to illuminate it. Jupiter is going to expand it. Uranus is going to maybe be a bit chaotic or crazy, something like that. They're saying it's not going to be they're saying if it's going to be the opposite of something, there's going to be something else that's going to give a reason for it. It's not going to just be that way. Sometimes it can be, they're like, it depends how it's like creatively used, but what they're trying to say is this solid definition of it specifically means this, or that it will always be combust, is just ultimately ridiculous, because you have to take in context into account into how the energy is being used, and that it's not always going to exist in the same way every single time. Those those energies will exist. The sun illuminates. The sun brings to the forefront of something, brings into the spotlight of something, but that doesn't mean that it's drowning something else out at the same time. Okay? Or that it's drowning out something that is near it. We may not be able to see it, but we have to understand that just because with our eyes or our equipment that we can't see Mercury beside the sun doesn't mean that something else or whatever can't see Mercury beside the sun, right? So they're bringing that to the highlight as well, that just because the limitations of us makes it so that we can't see it doesn't mean that it still can't be seen. It's still there, okay? And they're bringing me back to this idea of Neptune and Pisces. There's a lot of things that we can't see or understand that exist within our reality, or how things happen or occur or are helping us behind the scenes in a lot of ways that we don't see, know, or understand, but yet they're still there and they still exist, and they're still having a prominent influence even if we don't know that they're there or don't understand, right? So they're bringing that to the point as well. What they're trying to say is there's more to this, and that don't just take it as like kind of this face value. They're kind of bringing it up that there's a lot about astrology and how these cycles work that in a lot of ways are kind of misguided, and you need to understand the creative use of these energies and not just standard textbook definitions that are always going to exist in the same way. Okay? That's what they're trying to bring across with this.